And so you've transitioned, or not transitioned, but you've gone through cycle. You're into the squadron, and you're getting some experience and stuff there, and going on these. Well, there's a whole bunch of training, obviously, by the sounds of things happening.
Yeah, yeah,
How long? Because you got out in '97, eh? You left the
that's
unit,
yeah, yeah.
SASR '97. How long were you in the unit, and what sort of was the operational tempo picking up, or was it high, or was it quiet at that time?
No, I served when SAS stood for stay at. You know,
Yeah,
there wasn't
gotcha.
much on.
Okay, yeah, it
There
was
was the
quiet. Yeah, yeah,
UN gig here,
yeah.
and that was about it. A lot of the guys joke with me. Phil, we were at the airport when your ship came in. You know,
Mm,
just late '97.
yeah,
But
yeah,
you know what? One door closes, another door opens. I got exposure to
yeah.
special opportunities,
That's right.
which held
Yeah,
me in pretty good. There's
absolutely.
always a sense of, oh, geez, I wish I got a run.
Yeah,
But I can't say that they're right knowing that I was part of a group of guys and I'm in some pretty good company.
yeah.
Torch alive, carried it for our part of the journey. Next push, and we torch in good shape, and they took it to
Good
the next.
shape. Yeah,
There's a great sense of pride in that. Not everyone gets a run.
absolutely,
Basically,
absolutely.
deployed, not everyone gets on a patrol where things get exciting.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I'm so glad you've said that as well, because I think that's important for uh, guys that are coming through and guys that have been to hear that, because the foundations that people like yourselves that have laid for other people to come through is critically important and vital to the success, the ongoing success of what the unit and those individuals within it have been able to continue to have and build upon. So, yeah, there can be people that would feel like, oh, it would have been great to get a run. And I think that's just the natural, I guess, part that's within you as the experience that you have, the desire to serve in that capacity in addition to other things. But as you've mentioned, which we're going to delve into, you've gone on to have a whole bunch of great commercial opportunities and other experiences, and where you've been able to draw upon and use those experiences from that background and many other facets to
Yeah,
bring to bear into these environments that have created a whole bunch of success, which I want to dive into if that's all right with you,
yeah, sure.
Phil. Awesome. So that you've gotten out in '97. First, can I ask what was the decision to leave in '97? Was it just had enough, or was it an
Uh,
opportunity that you saw, or
no, there's a number of things. So divorced, divorced.
mm,
As we're doing the CT build up,
right?
which was
Okay.
good. When it came to manual methods of entry,
You can release.
stuff, man.
Yeah,
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 yeah. I'm going through the law this time.
yeah, yeah.
So there was that. Um,
Mm,
we they just introduced this thing with some changeovers in superannuation. Was it I
right. Yeah, yeah,
that if I got out and I left the country, I could get my employers as well, which was about 100 grand at that stage. But
yeah. Right.
at that time, in that economy, and that was a lot of money.
Yeah,
Now it's not
yeah,
even a deposit.
yeah,
But that was a big motivator. About three close calls. One in that I saw coming. You know, we're halfway mid CT cycle
yep.
for training, and the guys have a go at crashing the cars,
Hmm.
let's have a go at bashing down the doors. It's
Yeah,
all very interesting, greater depth of experience
yeah,
to carry through into a 2IC role or something before the next cycle, then at least and they've got an understanding.
yeah,
There's a really good phase, but during that, we've done a plan for a model teams, multiple entry, night time. I think at Bindoon, and they're
yeah.
rolling in, roll, and we were coming in through the front. Another, yeah, we were coming in through the front. Another team was coming in through the back, and the way they were offset. I, and it's only because I actually know that bashed into those doors so many times. There's
Yeah.
one it's flush, and if you're down this end of the building counting from that side door, it's pretty easy to get the count wrong, and we'd have
Yep.
you know, and you certainly don't want when the frame charge goes
Yeah.
off on a solid core door, like a porcupine. So anyway, during the briefing, I've mentioned, hey, look, there's a chance there for an opponent. Easy to skip that door when you're trying to count. You haven't started from that end going up. Now the MOE guy's got to look down there and count off those. Pretty easy to miss. And I got told, shut up. You haven't even been here since morning, let alone breakfast. Get off. And that was basically because someone didn't like his being shot down, you know, because he was getting assessed too. His direct action planning. So he didn't like any criticism. Anyway, we've gone out to in we go. We've gained entry. The old dinosaur drills, and the new guys laugh at this, but we'd box the doorway, clear the room, and then move. It wasn't all moving like it is.
Yep.
We're in there, we'll box the doorway, clear, and then over the radio here, safety catches on, move out. Something's going on. Safety on. Exactly what I was concerned might happen.
Yeah.
And not only was that frame charge on the door opposite us, he had a misfire, and he was in the process of
rearming,
and firing when the safety officer must have been hopefully two seeds in his mind, scanned the door and stopped him. And I looked at that and I thought, man, I even saw, you know, and I coined the phrase, blood on your hands than egg on your face. You know, that was the attitude. Don't criticize my plan. Just go. And so I got to the point where I met a girl that I want to play Happy Families again. I got this opportunity. And move on.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to tap out.
Gotcha.
I did a 1 week discharge.
Wow, 1 week.
1 week, yeah. I went to see the I'm interested in I can't discharge you on that. He goes, you're capitalizing and taking advantage of the system. If you had a compassionate reason, that's a different
story. Yeah.
So I'd think about it, come back in, we'll do this again. So I walked in and said, he goes, what was it in New Zealand? I said, I can help you with that. Crunched all the paperwork, fix it back, we'll operate on this, you send me the hard copy later. He just paperwork around. 1 week, I was gone.
Wow.
Then I had a 21-year-old kid at Charge look at me.
Yep.
She said, thank you for your service. I was so disingenuous.
Yeah, right.
You don't know what I sacrificed. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know I buried during my time. You're just a kid making a comment. I wasn't happy with that.
Yeah, right. I bet. Did you say anything to the young 21-year-old? No, just kept that inside. Yeah. Wow, man. A lot of stuff, a lot of working parts in there. That's a lot of information to just carry on talk about just in and of itself. But I'm really keen to talk about, Phil, with you in terms of that transition out. What was that? So once you're out, once you got out, what was the feeling? What was going on in your mind? What was your plan in terms of what you were going to do next? Did you have a clear plan of what you were going to do next?
No. It was just, I wanted to get out. On holiday to New Zealand, cashed in the money.
Yep.
To Australia, cashed up. Anything that wasn't a tough guy job.
Wow.
I didn't have to run around taking care of other people. They're on the line. I wanted something easy.
Yeah.
computers. First job I picked selling computers.
Oh wow, yeah.
I've got a long history with computers from Vic 64 all the way through, and so racing and digital photography. I've done a lot of that.
Man.
AV, and the photographic courses. So I held myself in pretty good. Okay, Harvey Norman's is pretty cool. They do some training. It's not just product training on this is digital camera or whatever. They actually had some sales training for us.
Yeah, right.
That
Yep.
It was transformation. Particular course they ran, and all of these. But what they're doing is they're basically, it's all about objection. If someone's not buying something off you, they have an objection. So they, it costs too much. It's not the right
Gotcha.
color.
Yeah.
Better price somewhere else, or someone's got
Yep.
better up. But the things they want to buy. So if they walk out that door without buying from you, and even if you don't learn what the objection was, learn from it.
Yep.
So they taught us these techniques, like someone, you show them what they needed, and you showed them a price range and payment, their requirements.
Yeah.
But you hadn't closed the deal. You couldn't come straight to someone and say, "Well, what don't you like about it?" Because people go, "Oh, no, this it's too upfront."
Yeah.
What do you like about it? Let me confirm. You draw those out of them, and you go, if there was something you did, what would it be? Oh, it's too expensive. Then they'll just spit it straight out. Soft way to draw the objection out.
Man.
You come up alongside them. So if I can show you a way that you ask that you like for these reasons you just gave me, in a way that did and you walk them through those options as a tax offset rather than depreciate as a liability and blah blah blah, and bang, close the deal.
Close the deal.
That level of training, that the other part that
I bet.
parachute jump instructor on my PJI course, first lesson that got assessed, flight 2, where you get students up jumping around, swinging off the risers and stuff. Listen, at the end of it, the instructor said to me, so how do you think you went? I think I did all right. I hit all the teaching points were met. They knew what they were doing. Yeah, I think, and I was well within time. Clearly, that's one of the best lessons I've ever seen. You covered all the points perfectly, but what? How can you fail? You didn't have any sparkle. There was no razzle dazzle. You didn't. And he goes, "Mate, you're a salesman." And I'm thinking, I'm a parent. I want to be. I'm not a salesman. I was angry. Anyway, I had minutes to prepare for the next. I stewed on this all night. But then, about it, I thought, he's right. He's 100% right. Jumping out of a plane, it's not just the technical parts of doing that. You've got to make some big leaps of faith. And so I do have to sell that. I've got to sell them in our equipment, our training.
Yep. Training.
And me as an instructor, and them simulate and apply the information. He's right. I got to be more of a salesman.
Well,
and so I carried some of that over into Harvey Norman's as well.
Yeah.
Bring confidence to my discussion instead of sounding uncertain. Mate, I don't know what it is. This, and I'll get you a rock solid answer on that. Yeah, but who would have thought?
Man, that's awesome.
Parachute instructor.
Yeah, go. Yeah, that's not me, but when you put it in that context, and now that you just mentioned it, and when you started explaining, I was like, yeah, true, that's a good point. I was trying to think back to some of the instructors that I had on my parachute instructor course. I think because I was just my first time doing it anyway, I think because it was just also new to me, I wasn't really looking, or maybe I didn't pick up on the selling points of it. I was just like, man, I've got to get these drills right because I don't want to spud in. So I was just trying to focus. Okay, yeah, these are the, okay, that's for the emergency. Okay, that's those drills. All right, this is how I need to land. This is how I need to lock it in. I was like, yeah, they were probably very animated and helpful in a lot of ways, but I can't remember any of that. I was just probably somewhat scared and focused on trying to make sure I wasn't going to die. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh man, no, but that's a
Yeah.
great point. I love that.
So I worked for Harvey Norman's for quite. I window cleaning.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
So
Window
how
cleaning.
far? When did you decide that you're going to start your own business? And did you cut away completely from Harvey Norman at that time, or did you still just keep one
No,
foot in
I
sort of
did a
part
clean
time?
break.
Right.
Harvey's was good, but like I was working for someone else.
Yeah.
When they wanted pushing for sales, and
Yeah.
tick that box. I'm ready to move. And
Yeah.
the next window cleaning is easy. For about $75. You need that's it.
Yep.
A bucket, the long mop, and a couple of scrim cloths. That's it. And some dishwashing detergent. That's all you need to get
Detergent.
started.
Yeah.
So on my old Epsom 600 printer, I printed up all these little flyers, and I just did a letterbox drop fly block, and I threw out this really great introductory offer: $25, all your windows inside. The going rate in that day
Wow.
would have probably been about 100 to do
Yeah.
inside
Yeah.
windows, and it would probably take 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
As an introductory offer, I just wanted to get some feedback,
Yeah.
and I got the essential numbers I needed. Out of every 25, I got one introductory offer. Out of every 5 introductory offers I did, customer. Out of every
Wow.
10 permanent customer referrals. So these numbers, I pulled together a business plan. Customers was the small business development center up in Joondalup, and they were great
Right.
because clean the windows, and when the guy wasn't busy, we'd just be talking about stuff. A business what? Have you got a business plan? No. Give me these books and these pamphlets and stuff. I'd come back in later to do his window stuff and this business plan stuff. He talks in here about he said, who does your cleaning? He goes, he goes, oh. I said, no, you should, I'll do your cleaning. So I upsold and cleaning the office, and I learned so much. Pulled together my business plan, won me runner up for the Small Business Awards in 1999.
I saw that.
Window cleaning was the excuse to get on the property, where the cheeky Samoan salesman came out and just said 95% of those stains on your oil stains out of your drive, 97%,
Yeah.
The special window treatment to treat the anodized window frames, the coast, and just upsell. More cleaning contracts. I was cleaning a school, about 5 or 6 different businesses. The indoor man.
Is that right?
Yeah, they had
In Joondalup.
Yeah, once
Yeah.
up indoor beach volleyball, nude volleyball on
Really?
and it was lights out, lights, and they kept saying to me, this weekend have you got nothing on?
You didn't go, did you? Did you go?
I didn't. No.
Yeah.
I would be embarrassed. Developed quite a few customers. I ended up having quite a few, 4 employees. That was hard work.
Yeah.
Right at the stage when GST first came in,
Yeah.
Stuff,
Wow. Far out.
I'm working my way through all this stuff. I'm probably doing bookkeeping as I was actually getting out there and working in my own business. And I got to the point where I'm making Telstra rich with all these work phones I've got out there with my accountant rich. All these guys are making money out of me. What's going on here? And then one of my customers, OAM.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the industry in joke is OAM actually.
Hold on, Mimi.
Yeah, it was a group of guys that got out, really capable.
Yeah.
Bobby Hunter, and they're a business, and they were one of my window cleaning customers.
Right.
We'd be there cleaning their windows, and you get knock on that window. Come inside, come inside. And you go inside and they go, "You speak Indonesian, don't you?" Yeah, sort of. I did a few trips over there. I did the formal courses. They said, "Oh, we've got a gig over there." I said, no. Well, they came a while until finally I said, "Look, just because I'll go over and do this 1 month stint in Indonesia for you, and then get someone else that all right." And it was a mine, care and maintenance. She'd been shut down, so he went up there on this mine in North Sulawesi, and I love it.
Yeah.
It's like putting on a comfortable old pair of shoes again. It's in my element. I could see things developing and problems the people couldn't, just because of my background. This is where I was 2 o'clock in the morning. If I couldn't sleep, gear on, sneak out, check on the guards. It didn't matter. I do 3 Ks just to point where they think there's no one's coming out of here at lob up and the guard's asleep with his feet on the table, just catching these guys out. And mate, I shook it up and I had a great time. And the guards appreciate it too, because now they're starting to get some coaching and some feedback, and support and equipment on the back, recognition awards and things like that. They'd never seen that. And I made more money in that 1 month than I did in 3 months.
With the business that you had.
Yeah. It's a mug's game. So I set up a studio manager, and the other business declined. That was it. I was on the international.
Yeah, wow. That's that's the part that I've got in my notes here for you, which I wanted to go into. So you've already been bringing all these skills and stuff to bear with regards to the journey so far, and then getting to this stage. It sounds like you've gone there on this job, you've seen a whole nother world, you loved it, and you've thought, I can make an impact here. I can have a good impact here. And yeah,
one of those things where you actually feel good.
Yeah.
That I know I'm doing something good here. I'm keeping the client happy.
Yeah.
To these security guards and making their life a better lot. They've actually got management path now. They've got a future to aspire to, not and close gates for 32 years and retire happy.
Yeah.
You'd run Kim's games.
Yep.
Just simple stuff like that. And I took one ragtag scruffy guys, but some of we're running things like Kim's games, teaching them a deduction. Towards the end there, the Kim's game paint a picture. These 10 items, they actually told a story. There's someone behind you, or there's someone in this area. There's danger present right now, and that's what the pictures and the observation lanes would paint. These guys we would get these reports, someone broke into the warehouse. Let's train for these guys. We go, someone in through this part of the fence between and 8 o'clock last night, and then they left. And you go, how did you know what time they came in? They said, footprints. You could see by their footprints here, these ones have raindrops. Okay, so and then they've timed it. It rained at night, and so and then they've worked out the timing. So you go, well, why did they?
Yeah.
It's because those 2 lights are out. And what did they take? About 14 meters of this copper cable off the drum, cut it in based on the amount of iron filings. Then they hid in the grass here. The reports came back and it said the that left there had we think it was the blah 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 model. I said, how do you know that? The tie tread marks are unique to that bike there. It has, and this was a brand new tire because it still had, you know, the little wispy.
Yeah, the bits around it on the tire itself.
And,
yeah.
And they had the photograph tracks, and you think, holy crap! And we went into town.
Far out.
Person who the bikes and bought a new tire in the last 3 weeks.
Is that right?
He worked at the warehouse. So.
Is that right?
Yeah. So just like, just get and this. These guys had just what used to be someone broke
piecing all that. Yeah,
starting to real detailed depth, and they'd be sitting there I'm thinking about this stuff that they've been told, coming up with ideas and stuff, and they pitch them to me in the morning. And go, no, that's crap. Stop. Well, they come up with something and you go, man, that's awesome. I hadn't.
Yeah.
Like, get these two guys here, work with them, and come up with a plan. You know.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's such a good story. Well, good experience to have and share, and sounds like you had a number of those.
Yeah. Oh, mate. You know, but what? I still do it even today in Australia. You're team, and say, right, you two come with me. Let's go and have a look at the fence. So we walk over and we look at the fence. Go, what can you see? I can see a fence. Look at this. What can you see? And so we talk about, you know, the poles, the spot, top of that's going into, how deep is the footing, top, middle, and bottom guide wires, the barbed wire on the top, wires, how many, at what interval, where the fencing fabric goes onto the pole. Is it a spiral wrap or an individual? And why would it be different? You know, if you cut a spiral in one place, the whole thing
right. Yeah.
Individual rings, you cut it in one place, you got to cut it again. We talk about, if you're going to climb over this fence, where would you climb? Here in the middle? Or they go, well, here by the pole. They're right. Now, the fence you're about to climb up, where are your hands? My hands are, it's where's your foot? With where my knee is. Are your hands going to pull or is your foot going to pull or push? It's going to push. What's that going to do? It's going to distort it. Can you see that when you stand directly opposite? Look down the fence over there. What can you see? And they look down to the right, about 100. Oh, it's pulled out there. It's dented in there. What happened there? Someone. Exactly. So now they got their head around that. Imagine you're perched like a possum at the top of the fence, you know, the bit of post that sticks back, and you're about to climb over. Put your feet on the top.
Yeah.
How far? What's that little triangular piece of the fencing fabric that sits above the top 10?
Yeah.
Bend it. Which way is it going to bend it? In or out? Oh, it's going to bend it in. The directional telltale now, where you climb there. And so you process there. We talk about contrary signs where tails at the top pointed in, but the pull push on the was inverted. What does that mean? It means they climbed in the same point. You know, I wouldn't give them all these answers. We walk through the 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, right, if you're going to break in here to do something, day or night, I'm going to do it by night. So if you're going to do it by night, why would you as opposed to any other one? And then I look up. Okay. Oh, because the light's not working. I say, exactly. So we're walking through a process and say, like, during the day, when you patrol, you drive the car, you look at the fence line, check for, teach them about Moyer pattern interference effect, fence lines for distortions, how to check the top, talk about ground sign and disturbance, and then I said, at night time, so what can you check then? We check the lights. Yeah, exactly. You're inspecting which lights are out and by daytime. And all of a sudden, there's this security guard course, but it isn't.
Yeah, yeah, it's
There's
not.
some cheeky sucker who's climbed over a few fences in his time. I've just had this experience of being able to pull together the counters for it, and you add
Yeah.
that level of value, life and their experience, and give them improve their memory and their observation. Mate, it's really me to be able to pass that stuff on, and
Mm,
you see the lights come on and they grab it and run, you know, and that floats my boat.
that's awesome, mate. I can see how enriching that is, just the way that you speak about it, and there's a joy, there's a light that comes up on your face because I can imagine you seeing the faces of the people that you're sitting down or standing there speaking to and teaching, and I can imagine that they're really getting a heck of a lot of value out of it. They're learning something that's really applicable, that's going to help them, and being able to do it in their work environment for what they're doing. So
Yeah,
that's awesome, bro. Really great to hear.
for the inquiring mind, security guard,
Yeah,
exciting jobs there is. You know, you're
yeah,
constantly
yeah.
out there like, what would I do? How would I climb over this fence? But so many people just sit down in the guard hut, you know, and stare
Yeah,
out into the dark
yeah,
with their night vision blown.
that's
You know?
right.
Yeah,
All these days they're just on their phone, but in the uniform and just pushing
yeah,
buttons on the phone, sort of thing. So, man, you make a really good point because yeah, here at least here in NZ anyway, a lot of the security type roles. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to anybody that's in that space, but it is, in my experience from what I've seen here, it's been viewed as not really that, sort of not
you don't
not to the
aspire.
level of what it could be. Yeah, you don't aspire. Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's certainly missing a lot of potential. But can you imagine if
absolutely, man. But
company and you trained them to that level,
yeah, yeah,
the reporting, their observation, the value that they could add,
yep.
that would be a big business. That would be a big point of difference.
Massive opportunities for them, yeah,
Yeah,
and it would give businesses confidence in the service that they're getting, and a whole bunch of things, the wraparound stuff for the individual providing that service, for the companies both providing the security and the company receiving it.
yeah,
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So it's great to hear you speak about that and how you've it made me laugh when you're talking about will that push or will that pull, and then at the top, if they put their leg up, is they going to bend it in or out? It's like all those pointers and indicators from a tracking course. And well, you already mentioned you spoke about ground sign and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
So so much crossover and value just in this stuff that we've spoken about so far, or that you've spoken about. And I want to stay on this theme with regards to what you've been doing because you've gone out, you've worked Harvey Norman, you've gotten into this. Okay, yeah, I want to work for myself. Created this cleaning business. It's been up for the runner-up in that Small Business of the Year in Joondalup, Telstra Small Business of the Year. And then you've seen old army men's group and an opportunity, or that they've asked you to go over. You've gone over. You've seen these opportunities, and now you're straight into it. How long after that trip? So I'm assuming, did you do the 1 month trip for OAM, then come back and then start to put the wheels in motion to create your own, or?
No, no, I didn't. I never created my own business.
Oh,
Or,
right.
in fact, for off, I worked, but
Oh, well.
pulled together a few gigs in Indonesia. Um,
Yep.
one which is really, really clever, was they had there was a clause in the contract that said after I'd worked for a company for 12 months, if they wanted quickly, OEM wouldn't oppose that. And that happened on one of the Friday nickel mine
Yep.
in Indonesia, fourth largest mine. After 12 months, they picked me up as an employee.
Is this
For
the? Oh,
uh,
sorry, no, no. Yeah, I was going to say, is this the hostage siege one? Because I'm
yeah,
keen to hear about that.
mate, we had
Yeah.
early 2000s, late 99. There were some pretty troubled times.
Yeah.
A lot of blokes were with terrorist training from overseas in Afghanistan. But that skill set back into
Yeah.
the region. Different intelligence sources that were kind of amateur. The open source, the usual conscious network, but consular intelligence networks work in one direction. Info going in, there's not much coming out.
Yeah.
Just making up. But all the warning signs were there, and they're throughout Indonesia, and we were all aware of 3 groups. So things happened. One of the best things I did work was, you know how the intelligence team on a regular basis and get their in-house, the company's intelligence team, the next bit to audit, because they're looking at the paper trails, flags, and I'm looking at, and we compare, and we had like 85% match up. There's this.
Is that right?
One of the biggest triggers, the first one that said to us, look, there's a lot more going on here. Was an explosion that occurred in a small village near, and everyone had reported this explosion, but initial reports came back at a bit to an underarm deodorant in a rubbish fire. We heard that 1.5 kilometers away, so deodorant can. That was
Deodorant can, yeah.
Access the area where the fire was and was reported, and we were prevented from getting in there. There was a training facility, a religious school, centering edge of the village, heading down there, which is unusual in itself, because normally in the center of the village, they want to advertise what a good influence they are and how well behaved their students are. This one, red flag 1, they prevented us from driving down the road. Red flag 2, we 1.5 k's away.
Yeah.
So to come in cross country down through the back of the mine. The photos they sent back showed us in the ground and bidirectional scoring. There was a pipe bomb.
Far out.
One of the ends came off. So someone's playing with making black powder. So there's a red flag. This religious facility a lot more close. We found that one of the employees working for us, what probably worked out to about 1.5 times every month to these guys.
To them.
More than we actually pay them every month to this organisation. And so we drilled into it and proven, but the theory we came up with was that of an organisation within the organisation. Coincidentally, around the same time, the traditional, the known terrorist groups that were being tracked within Indonesia at that time, they'd financed themselves by gold merchants. They were usually illegal, the ones trafficking it, because the bulk of them were Chinese. And so the Indonesians had no problem knocking over some Chinese merchant and taking stolen or illegal goods off them. None of it's on the books, and it was really hard to track and quantify, but all dried up around about the same time. And at the same time that we got some other people around the same time through similar methods came to of the company within the company. And if you hold certain, you can, like, so procurement, contract, HR, internal audit, and security, those key roles start to soften, cut, and to one side, and you protect any way of to it. And if you do get caught through, he'll take the brunt, and we just continue business as usual. So that's to prove any of that. But then looking into those things, more aggressive. So, for example, one of the testing red team. Don't listen to their reports. Go out, try and climb out. So we'd learned about the company within the company, or the theory. Test red team that. So we pulled together an approach for a tender. So what we managed arm's length was on a a contractor to bid for and map the dark side of the tender process, and that's what we started doing exactly that. And they were picking up, okay, this guy here is going to tell you that you, but here he'll get you into, selection process. And then this one here, you need to up your bid, by about, you can keep 10% of that 40 and the other 30 comes to me. Get awarded the contract. And then over here, and we started mapping. While they were mapping that, they some other information that indicated there were a group of people going to have a crack. Based on that, and then some embassy warnings about that recently we just discovered some firearms and some documentation that bombs and some t-shirt headbands buried down in the village. So all these things.
Well,
there was our first evacuation, and so as we evacuated the mine.
Yep.
Essential skeleton crew only to continue. We got everyone out of there. Also, this was made friends with the Indonesian national. So it started off. We wanted to. I had through some contacts I had in Jakarta. The amazing guy called Ken Conboy. He said, "I can get you in front of. I can get you in." And we. But then he couldn't meet us. It actually worked out. Happened because this was just before the election. He won the election. Hendro Priono change out, and there'll be a new guy.
Yeah, right.
This bloke and he's going to change,
Yeah.
By coincidence, we met the number 2 guy, Asad Saeed. He was there after the election. So we established, and mate, talking to him was brilliant.
Yeah.
Speaking with the Canadian Embassy, the US, Australian Embassy, and we were getting nothing. We shared more with access to stuff. We sat down with Indonesian National Intelligence, and he just came out with, here's what it is, and he laid it. Oh, mate, that makes it. Why isn't anyone telling us this stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Secret? Commercially, this seriously us. And so what he's laid out is that this looks more like bluff rather than an actual probability that this threat that we'd discovered was going to come to fruition. But the prudent course is, if you've been warned by your own account, you should get out. In the background, the Western governments were pressuring Indonesia to do more, and so Indonesia was important. The 4th largest mine evacuate to a foreign country in the box. So what we decided to do was we evacuated into Bali. So far enough away, but still in safe face. The embassies were angry at us, but mate, you can get until you start sharing information. I'm not going to act on rumors here. And so that was. We were out for 6 weeks. It's easy to evacuate. It's not so easy
to get back in.
This is what it looks like to go back in. Yeah, this is when it's.
Yeah.
So we learnt that one, but within 6 weeks, looks like these conditions are met. We're happy to go back.
Yeah.
We went back in. Then we had some. It turned out we knew we had some problems with some contracts. Big companies that have worked for quite a while in an area to favour a handful of local contractors, and that they've groomed over a long period of time to be, the safety, the invoicing, come up to a certain standard. So of course they're going to be preferred vendors for any work. but we encourage those big contractors to outsource those components, keep giving the little guy a go, you know, yourself, otherwise you're going to burn your house down. So you keep love, throw
Spread
the
the
jobs
love.
around,
Yeah.
capacity, give the little, and bit by bit, you know, bring them up to speed, keep the bench
Yep.
warm. Well, in that process, someone had taken some short, as much money as he wanted, and kept the same profit margin, the losses to his workforce. He wasn't a big enough man to say to everyone, no, actually, I just kept the profits, and he blamed the company. So overnight, we knew there was some prop contract. This thing flared up, and overnight we had about of people massing down near the golf course at about 5. So I've gone for a drive down there at 5:45, and blokes all over the road throwing rocks at the car, trying to stop me. Really perfect.
Yeah.
And hoof back up the road, going right, close the gate, shut this down. That those shift changes are going to have to go on hold. Call these guys down here. We're going to have to have emergency management meeting. But the whole really quickly. One bus, the roadblock, told the security, and they drove straight through there and into. They got seized at the golf course, taken at knife point by a whole marched into an area.
Right.
And the one piece we missed, and you live and learn.
Yep.
We'd had a whole had gone up to drop family members at the airport, which was the other side of the problem, to catch the first flight out. They all drove straight back into the fray.
Coming
we
back,
missed
yeah.
23 expats, 51 national workforce. And within those expats, they weren't just expats. They were there with their wives and their kids. You know, we financial officer in there visiting, and his daughter, and she's caught in there as well. You know, so this people, this thing. And so all of a sudden, I'm Johnny on the. Oh, what are you doing about it? And I learned you can't bullshit people. We called a town hall, and I've given them a briefing on, right, this is what we know. This is what we know. This is what we don't know. What we're attempting to do about it and find out. And this is what I need. Rattle the whole of. And man, we did some cool stuff. Like we developed an in-house intelligence team. Graphic guys that were smarter than the average bear that I'd identified. For like you know, private security stuff.
Yeah.
Go down and have a few beers in that party and find out what's things.
Yeah.
So we tasked them, get in there, find key players. What are their plans? Give me some contact numbers. They came back with a list of, this is exactly what the problem is. These 26, they call them core lab, field coordinators. Their intended plan is to hold these in there until you have to do an emergency shutdown of the process plant, which bucks just to do a hard shutdown on that. And we've got a maximum time of 16 hours that we can extend before we've got to go into a hard shutdown. So everyone do a shift change is on the wrong side of the fence, you know.
Yeah.
I came back with all that information. I just broke the all of the family members sitting around into groups and gave them, righto, this group here with 5 phones, phone number, and I gave those 26 phone numbers out, said speed dial, and when you get the command go, this is when we're going to try and run. I want all 10 of you speed dial in this number, you know, of service operation, so their field coordinators can't talk to each coming out through here. They're going to try and take a boat up through the lake, or they're sneaking through the we shut them down, and we managed to do 3 shift changes.
Really?
Yeah, those field coordinators, and infiltrating their meeting information. But within about 90 minutes of the, I had a great relationship with the military intelligence.
Yep.
found in most developing nations, you can't just befriend the police force. You've got to police and the military, and you'll find that in many of those countries, they'll have an opposite entity, forces paramilitary police units, advanced parachute ops, just as an offset and a counterbalance. Goes rogue, the cops can take them on, or vice.
Yeah.
Keeping the balance, and so the same thing goes for us working with. Kept the balance. Don't go too far one way or the other.
Yeah.
We asked the cops to come and help us, but they became they weren't to shut it down in any great hurry. So
Yeah. Right.
we got the military guys in to back us up. But we had clothes, armed military intelligence running hostages within about 90 minutes. On a keyword to proof of identity, and we did talk to these people by mobile phone, got them to shut down their phones and different cure. But if things got ugly, that's the good. You're going to follow him. We'd set up a reception party, about 150. We had the dogs in reserve and a whole lot of other to meet, process them through the reception area. And so we had a plan. Our emergency stood up and ready to go. It wasn't perfect, but it was there. And then keeping the people, this is what I'm doing to make sure your daughter's all right, you know.
Yeah.
I made some rookie that whole thing, like I tried to stay away. I just could not go and lie down.
Yeah.
I could even close my eyes. I wasn't going to sleep, and I couldn't rest.
Yeah.
And I stayed in that ops room and just working the problem and talking to people and just trying to find, is there a better way we can do this? Have we missed it? Yep. Think straight. You guys take this plan.
Yeah.
Analyze it, come back to me and tell me what you think, you know. But I was a zombie by the end of it. I should have, even if
I bet.
lie down for 2 hours with your eyes shut and not sleeping is better than the problem for 72 hours straight. That's like going back and doing selection.
Yeah.
Families, this is their loved ones, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no margin. And so we looked after, came in and saved us. We used our charter flight to ferry a couple of platoons up from down in Makassar.
Yep.
They came in, embarrassed the local policeman, gave them. We got the hostages were released on, so they were only detained for in 12 hours. So that broke that, and that happened amicably. But we were still, and we still had to run those shift changes. So we ran some drills. We sent a boat across the lake up towards one of the mining areas. 3 or 4 boats responded to chase. And we did the denial of service operation, and we up through the mining back into run the shift changes. We once we had 2 went on 50-50 with stretcher bed, food up at the plant site, and that was it. We didn't have to shut down. Worked well. And one of the biggest things that stuff not working here anymore. They were comfortable. This got managed to a level of satisfaction where
nobody resigned. Wow.
Yeah, they were all pretty happy with it.
Right. And it went for 72 hours pretty much.
Until it was 72 hours of grief.
Far out, man. See, there's a lot of benefits from selection and RTI and being able to continue to work through all of that.
Well, I think the biggest thing I carried over was the capacity to get into my adversity. You know, to sit there and stop and think. What are you looking to? You know, what motivates you? What do you want to achieve?
Yeah.
Acceptable fallback position that, you know, if I can offer you a plan Are you going to take that one if you think you're going to lose the A plan?
Yeah.
Through that process of getting into my adversary's head. From Pete Towndrow. Pete was in the regiment before my time. I met at OM. We worked together on the very first job. He was got me embedded in Sulawesi. Just brain the size of a room, you know.
Yeah.
The guy was, it was one of the, don't play chess against Pete Towndrow. He's one of those. He's always he can be 3 or 4 steps ahead. And that's, you know, you get into situations. What would Pete Towndrow do in this situation? Emulate that. But I had so many good mentors that I could, you know, the things I'd seen them do and the way they try and emulate that.
Man, well, it sounds like you certainly did. Yeah, sounds like it worked.
Yeah.
Sounds like you did, and that's great to hear. What I was hearing while I was listening to you speak, which was fascinating and really interesting, was just hearing about the importance of building relationships, and by just listening to you communicate the way that you communicate, I can see how and why, and I don't know if you attribute that to your upbringing or your military career or the courses that you've done, or maybe it was that piece on your jump instructors course about, you know, I've still failed you on there because you need to be a salesperson. But I think at the end of the day, from my perspective, we're all trying to sell something at the end of the day. Even as parents, we're trying to sell our children the benefits of brushing their teeth morning and night, and the benefits of eating their vegetables, even though they might taste yuck. We're trying to sell that to them, you know. But just listening to you, I was just like, couldn't help but think, man, the relationships that you've been able to build over that period of time, and to be able to get to a point where you can then also leverage the experiences of your mentors or the people that you've seen as mentors to help you through those is awesome, mate. And that's the stuff that, you know, part of the reason why my brother-in-law and I wanted to create this particular series was that there's so much to unpack in each unique individual like yourself, what skills you've attained, what skills you're continuing to develop, and how you're able to apply that in all these different scenarios. Like that's it might be somewhat of a familiar example, I guess, or familiar, sorry, not example, but scenario based on your background and knowledge and skills. But there's a whole bunch of other stuff that may not be so familiar, and those pieces, how you've been able to bring that to bear. And this is just one situation, is really fascinating to me. So how the outcome of that, what was that's a great outcome, that nobody resigned, that people, you know, were happy to stay. What were some of the other, I guess, maybe unexpected outcomes from just that particular, because I'm fascinated by this particular hostage siege and how it's come about, and what you guys have all been able to do.
So it's trying to light on our procurement process.
Yeah, right.
One of the take-homes for us was that if tell people what they can and can't do in our contracts, we're at the and we do hold a vicarious liability on what that is.
Yeah,
so
gotcha.
It taught us to step up and pull together commercially from a contracts perspective.
Yep.
And what we engage with.
Were your contracts then more explicit in terms of the terms of service and all that sort of stuff? Did you guys?
I didn't get to the, but that was the direction.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, and there are as well. Like, one of them was in an area where there should be lots of. There wasn't enough work available for people. You know, we were running around stealing our nickel slag, and then still nickel slag, stealing copper, all the way through to. We were chasing 14 kilometers aluminium cable that had gone before a pat. They hung it on the Friday. It got energized on the Monday. Why is that? Go out and have a look, because there's no wire in the poles.
Wow.
On Friday. So over the weekend, there's 14 kilometers of aluminium
taken.
So it took us 2 weeks, but we tracked it to a container and it had gone down to Makassar, to the port, Ujung Pandang it's called now. But when they opened that container, they all some massive RSJs, you know, those big I-beam.
Yeah, right.
And they had our security marking paint on it. I'm like, this from. So I took some dimensions. I've gone up to the booth that evening to the. I said, hey, do we have any RSJs this big on site? No. And someone says, well, hang on, except for underneath the main hall. Gone out and had a look.
Out.
They got underneath there, gas chunks of RSJ. Because
Wow.
steel's worth.
Yeah.
Scrap. Rated what was I don't know, 150 ton
Bridge.
25 tons, and we're rolling 80 ton. You know, you think,
Out.
so then they get all the mining trucks to haul the ore back up to the process. We're going after this to fix it up, but yeah,
Out, man.
Yeah, but
Crazy, all right.
seeing all these people from one of the things I really enjoyed, and this is just Field Squadron. Part of one of the things they gave us to do was said, Phil, you can write a few words together and you can make decisions. Learn lessons from South Africa or because their terrain's similar to Australia. Going for the experiences they explore and adapt and incorporate into our military doc. But all right, what am I going to do? So I went and grabbed this book from the library, grabbed a handful of books about Rhodesia, fascinated by the place,
Yep.
you know. Read the stuff. The book I got stuck on the most, and that I enjoyed the most, and I had them, and was The Elite.
The Elite.
Yeah, so she was of the OC, the Rhodesian SAS Squadron. Barbara would be sitting around the house listening to all the guys. Her husband, and she said, "You guys should write these stories down." And they said, "Barbara, you know,
Yeah.
we'll tell the story." And she pulled together The Elite, and then it was some fascinating stuff that outlined thought to get ahead of the problem. The one I love the most, and the one we didn't use, it didn't become part of Australian doctrine, but I used it in Indonesia, was two ambush teams, and you'd have a chase team, and you'd try and run into one of the if they made it through the gap, teams picked up and took on the chase, and then we'd reposition.
Yep.
Chase team that's now rested, and another ambush team, and we just keep. We had fresh legs, and we'd run them down, and we started these techniques with driving on DT drivers.
The drivers get yeah.
Drifting with guys in the back, getting around teams, and then just chasing, running people down. On Christmas Day, they thought no one's going to be out on Christmas Day. All these expats are going to be, you know,
getting drunk. Yeah.
I was out there, mate. We were motivated and planned in advance, and you go out and you do. When you walk through the mechanics of how it works, and everyone's frog change up the process. So we got this down pat, and the local cop was laughing. He said, "I've got standing room only." And we had 34 guys in there, and I was looking at, but feeling proud of myself. I actually looked at him. I thought, "You poor bastard. You got nothing to do." And I thought, "I'm a symptom of the problem, not the root cause. The root cause is there just aren't jobs to go after. What are we going to do?" So I took it up with the who to this day remains a really good mentor. Amazing guy. If you look into mate, he's up there.
Jim Gowans.
He about what options were available. And it took a while, but what we landed, we had another problem. The other problem that we had was we only had one of silica sand that came from Thailand. But funny enough, that sand was also locally available. It. And in business, it makes sense. You don't just have one. Because if something goes wrong, that's it. And so you need to have at least two. And so what we pulled mining. We gave
Wow.
them safety mining guys who were retiring from the nickel mine. Set this thing, put it together.
Right.
So now, if I arrested somebody, it was I'm happy to arrest, mate, because you actually have some legitimate options to go and
Yeah.
legitimate money.
Yeah.
You chose not to. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. And that is that still running now? That's still running now, Phil? That
Yeah, I left that place a long
yeah.
time ago, but
Wow.
16 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Look, there was enough sand in those river systems, and it was good quality.
Yeah. Man, that's
Taking two
awesome.
problems to solve each other has
Yeah.
become a fine.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Sounds like it. It sounds like it. But but sounds like some great outcomes too in the process. So even though it's been 16 years, hopefully, man, that sounds awesome. I'd like to think that would still be going as well over there. I've not done any work over there in Indonesia, so that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the this, and feel free to go back if I've skipped over something as well. But also in line with that, there's so much here, and I'm really enjoying it. You talked about designing, and I'm guessing this is maybe part of your engineering, some of your background and stuff there that you've had or that you
Yeah,
enjoyed. But
in
the
Africa.
project managed that ballistically rated citadel in West Africa, and with recycled mining material. How did that come about? Like,
So,
what's that all about?
so if you look at Mali, so like
Yep,
as a
as a
butterfly,
country, yeah,
yeah, and at
yeah,
the intersection of that skinny piece, there's pretty much where river flows through. In West Africa, actually, no, about 5 years ago, in general, and we're
yeah,
south of the Niger, which was green and had nice and friendly and happy because
yeah.
there's water. Everything north of that Niger was desert,
Mm,
and they were unhappy. So most of the problems existed, and that's pretty much
yeah.
what people set up a mine. Where is it? North or south of the river? It's south. Oh, that's getting there. Well, those
Yeah,
problems started,
coming down.
further and further down. You could progressively see terrorist groups kidnapping people,
Yeah, right.
military infrastructure, anything involved with government infrastructure, and anything that. So I was working for a gold mine. We've got expats, we've got gold,
Yep.
and we pay government. We're a triple target. Why wouldn't you come
Yeah.
after us? A long time ago, there's no way you can terrorist proof. It's not going to happen. The story about the two guys being chased, two fellas getting
No,
chased
no, what's that one?
by a grizzly bear, and one stops to put his Adidas running shoes on. What are you doing? You're not going to outrun a bear because you're wearing sand shoes. He goes, beat the bear. I just have to run faster than you. Kicks him in the shins,
Gotcha.
and the bear is the slow guy.
He's the slow one. Yeah, okay.
So it's impractical to try and say we're going to be terrorists. But what you want to do is make sure I'm a less attractive target who aren't spending the money and doing stuff like we are.
Yeah.
Big things that security guards is you do crackerjack checks, of course, entering this facility, bag searches on people entering the facility. In their selection process for the target, they're going to look at you.
Mm.
We're not going to sneak anything through that gate. We'll go.
Yeah.
So the better your searches are, the safer your job's going to be.
Yeah.
In that environment, things are coming south. They've worked out support from the police. It's a third world country.
Mm.
They don't get paid very much. They're struggling to pay their. So if they can work both sides and get a kickback from the bad guys, it's an economic reality, and it's to death trying to fight that. But you're not gonna change what it is. You need to accept it. So that wasn't working too great. favorite concept. We need to play both sides. So we've got the Guard National involved. This is great, but it's not defendable. The mine system had purchased, those crew shield containers. So
yeah.
20-foot or be ballistically rated. You could.
Yeah.
That's great. That's fantastic. Lockdown on.
Yeah.
It's not too great sitting around in a paddock. On a mine where they can just come along with a crane, pick the whole package sausages ready to go, stick it on a truck and take it up. So we kind of suggested, look, you're heading in the right direction. We probably need a bit more. And so they accepted that, and planning had come together. They looked at using those big Hescos. The
Hisco huts.
Hesco bags.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And you stack them all up. And then like every 2 years, the UV is going to break those down. It started getting real expensive really fast.
I bet.
This, so we need to smart. It just keeps balking and balking. Costs are blowing out
because of the cost.
And it was. Well, there's got to be a smarter way. I can remember down at the indoor ranges. In the indoor ranges, they had those. Where the strips of rubber hanging down. 45 degrees. And so I looked at. We've got heaps of old conveyor belt up. We got plenty of old 40-foot. We're actually paying money to backload empty containers that had run delivery. Let's just keep those containers. So we built a big snail shell. We welded rails that would hold the double lamella and cut those. What a performance trying to cut.
I bet. I was going to ask.
Well, we're working on it for days. So one of the engineers came out and looked and he goes, "Oh no, just use water." He goes, "Just use going hose." And got a hose. He said, "Now bend it. There's water running down. He got a box knife and just went. Whoop. Oh, it was that easy.
Really?
Right. It's simple. We were doing it the hard way, and I cut-proof gloves and underneath there and along. But we hung all of those containers on the inside. We used some other containers and got them, and we basically built a facility that could comfortably have 200 to 50 people. It had and water supplies. It had an external water supply. That's pretty rudimentary. And basic sleeping, things like that, and decks of cards. And then
any chessboards?
We should have been. The corners of the facility we had these. We had firing points. So these actually plate. Points. And I did the fields of fire, and I found it didn't take too much to actually open a couple of. And the fields of fire within the compound were. So the external coverage was significant. It was phenomenal. We did some earthworks to create a double bunds vehicle from being able to drive. If a vehicle had to make a long sweeping S-bend approach, it couldn't come. And then around that we had a double razor wire. And so that it would slow you down within the arc of fire. And so I think we got this sorted. It's all. We did a stock type. The Guard National guys actually carried. And I thought enough for the first 30 minutes. Pretty fast, unless there's a lot of fire discipline or unless. And we looked at it and we thought, well, what are we going to do if we run out? Simple. We ran razor wire on the inside of the comp, in a blind section that you couldn't. The snail shell. wall. It's all coiled up. It's got a wooden plate over the end, and run it. And I've just run a double razor wire string. It's just a section off. So when you come in, you got more razor wire, and you're in a kill zone. And ammo, we open the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And how long?
Sorry.
No, go. You build that thing and you look at it. You go.
Well, once you built it, you look at it and you think, mate, I feel like going outside. You want to pick a fight because you
Coax
yeah,
it.
Yeah. We ran a whole series of drills. Some people said, "I'm." Oh, that's fine. You take your grab bag and you head down to the guy. There's options for those who want to take it. You know?
Yeah. Gotcha. How long did it take to build that? Over what sort of time frame did it take for you guys from woe to go?
Would have been the better part of 9 months.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah.
We weren't making changes on the fly. You know, we learned some.
Yep.
The containers. Some other issues about joining them up, and then we had to backtrack to do. Found some really interesting technology, like you think this is great. You'd be standing down there on a 40-degree day, get heat off the top of those containers. It was killing you.
Yeah, right.
They found these products where you just put this plastic paint material over the top there. It knocked 80 out of it, you know. And on a stinking hot day, the aircon could keep.
Yeah, far out. That's all right.
Use of dogs, absolutely fantastic asset.
Yeah.
Africa's probably dogs in quite a few different sites that we've worked.
Yep.
Level that we did in Africa. There's Andrew Harper, mate. The guy doesn't know about dogs, like the level of the degree that he could give to these dogs was so he ex-military dog trainer, but the dogs they could target an individual, and so we learned to target suspicious behaviour and to wearing PPE. If a person was wearing PPE and behaved, they might get targeted by the PPE wearing uniform, behaving themselves, and there was a bad guy in the background behaving, targeted him, you know, and you can see that. And the terminal test, we got these dogs up to a certain level, was with people running around wearing PPE but not doing anything aggressive, behaving suspiciously, shouting and stuff, and you look at through the dog's ears, and that was like it's like taking a wrong bloke. Oh, that's the bloke there, you know.
Yeah, right. Gotcha.
You'd release them and whack. They would take. And some real clever observations too. Like one of the things you will bite sleeve, you know. Otherwise, the dog learns sleeve.
Okay.
He doesn't want them targeting the sleeve. He wants behaviour, and so it was always concealed sleeves. The problem with the concealed, bite and that stuff, they're not as thick. That much, man.
Was there few injuries?
Yeah. Just you don't want them hanging on for too long, because
gotcha.
I think he's about to chew through that thing. But having said that, 7 canine arrests we called them. The 7 takedowns. Every single bloke we took down with a dog during the time. First port of the medical centre where they got assessed. From minor abrasions, bleeding and bruising, which is hard to tell on an African guy. There were no serious injuries because those dogs once out, they were off straight away. And that's again a test, the level of training that somebody went down, the dog, you know. But if someone's going to argue with the dog and fight them,
Wow, that's amazing. And it's
You
interesting
can't,
that
you
you
can't
mentioned because
negotiate with a dog. Sorry.
yeah, it's true, eh? Not unless you're
Yeah,
the trainer or the owner. What
yeah.
sort of dogs were you guys running?
So the Malinois,
Malinois, yeah. Wow. Yeah,
mate.
awesome.
But when we actually flew Andy over to Holland to go straight to
Yeah,
the professional breeders. Well, and,
yeah,
yeah, mutt that's half.
yeah,
It went straight to, and you know what? And it's almost the same price anyway.
yeah,
When you look
right.
at the first class dogs, we were looking for. He came back with a shepherd and a Malinois, and
Oh, wow.
the shepherd, um, his motivation for training was off the charts. This dog was, in fact, he was so started to use him for detection training. Um,
Right.
Teach anything for that tug toy, anything for that tug toy. He was just nuts about it, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah. Hard case. That's awesome. It's great that, well, you got somebody like, was it Greg, did you say? Greg
uh,
Harper?
no, Andrew,
Andrew Harper. Great to
yeah,
great to have somebody like him with his, I guess he's the guy that you sent? You sent Andrew
yeah,
over
yeah, we
there
yeah sent
to
him over
suss out the
to the
dogs?
Netherlands, yeah,
Man,
yeah, because
awesome.
he'd done
Well,
it
obviously,
before with military dogs, and then
yeah.
got the benefit of his training as well.
Oh, man.
So they're not attack dogs. Mine are just
Yeah.
they're happy-go-lucky pets. What I've learned how to train a dog based on what
Yeah.
Andrew's shown me, you know. And so now where I can give differential commands. You sit, you know, and I'll give them signals and they'll follow.
Yeah.
Or I can watch them when we're walking. Their ears, I know what they're thinking before it even hits them. That's out,
Man.
get back over here. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's looking at me now.
That's awesome. Yeah. What do you want? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mate, it's nice because you mentioned a bit earlier how you've introduced some technology and stuff, and I thought, man, you were just sort of flowing nicely into this next piece. I've got a couple more pieces that I'd really like to hear your thoughts on and have you
Sure.
speak about if that's all right, Phil. You spoke about technology, and there's a piece in here that you spoke about integrating drones. Obviously, you've already spoken about the canine stuff, and this illegal mining, or was that combined in
Yeah.
what you just
Yeah.
spoke about earlier, or that
So,
illegal mining activity?
yeah, illegal mining in West Africa, in the gold mine. Um,
Right.
but we were just flying blind before, you know. It's that 200 people have already turned up. Well,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm.
there've been a couple of occasions where two of us went 130 and managed to turn them around. And my French isn't that good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just through smiling, laughing, talking, but no, you can't come in. Offering,
Yeah.
you know, previously mined areas.
Mm.
You guys are welcome to go out where the hotspots are, but every time you come in here, I'm going to bust your nuts. When they turn up with 500, it's too late. So
Yeah.
just kept getting bigger. The local illegal
Far
miners,
out.
because this
Yep.
is, and they're accountable to their village chiefs, who, and I had a good
Mm.
rapport with them and treated them with respect. Came back as well, and they would keep their own boys. But it's the drifters
Yeah.
moving across the continent, heading up as far hop into Europe and taking all the cash they can, and they don't care in someone else's backyard to the
Bloody hell.
dangerous ones. And then back to back.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they're mining gold, they've got to move it through a trafficking system, you know. And this is the
Yep.
and through there. It's a rabbit warren of known
Far
trading
out.
route into those trafficking conduits. It's getting dropped in there. Ammunition, firearms,
Mm.
everything is just moving through those, and people conduits up north. And so there's some characters run those, and they're making enough money that they'll resources to protect their income. You know, so it's not
Mm.
But we were looking at, I just want at the active mining areas, you know, and how we're going to do this. So clever stuff with dog patrols and pieces like that. But our biggest, it was pretty easy to get overwhelmed.
Yep.
There's only 16 of us and 200 of them.
Yeah. Yep.
Maths. So, friends.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff we started doing with the drones was awesome. Like a mapping sortie, and then just we could build up a 3D model. And so we operation tonight in the northwest, and so I need you guys OP, you guys, and we turn the model around, and so this team see the visual field from their OP down.
Yeah, right.
This area here is blind to you, and then you turn the model around, and that's why down here you're looking straight up through that dead ground that these guys can't. Know. And ideally what we were looking for, a piece that we could, and once you off, they would scatter, and we had the capability of 5 people at once, but we wouldn't want to take on, you know, or 50, because I'll scatter, and then think about what's their capacity to reorg and come. Happened a few times. So we'd get all the boys out there using. You could pick all this stuff, and just before last light, one of commercial security's biggest vulnerability, poor shift handovers. You know, something that occurred during the day. A red flag from today's shift wasn't passed on to night shift.
Yep.
You know? And so we actually, the expat part of this, just went into overdrive every shift change. So from about 7:30, we were just flat out checking everything, monitoring. You do a last sort of flight around the mining areas with the drone. Motorcycles were starting to build up. You know, right, they're building up in the northwest. The plan in the northwest should be a good one. We need police and military support, so we tell the military up there because they were pretty flexible. The police always wanted to know, so we tell them we're going to be working in the east. Going to be working in the eastern area. Change, we're going to the northwest. You know, they were going to tell their mates, and it would be a reception party for us, even worse. We developed a whole lot of different tactics for different scenarios for how to take them. We would wander in amongst the group, dressed similarly in miners, prospecting, until we got moved through over to another area, and then we just go loud. And full cars turn up in the back of the car and gone, and but it was all that kind of stuff there, you know.
Far out, man. Sounds good. Sounds awesome, and just great experiences of what you've spoken about. And I want to actually, there's a couple other things which have just come to mind now, just based on what you've shared. One of the questions that I didn't ask you earlier. Did George try to talk you out of leaving the unit back in '97, or did he just
no? That was never our thing.
Yeah.
What to do?
Yeah, sweet. Nah, cool. I just thought, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if George spoke with you. The other part is
the time we both served together.
Yeah.
Probably only see him 5 times a year.
Yeah.
He was up saving the world, or I was off doing a course, or we were down and practicing some crazy new insertion technique.
Yeah. No, awesome. Well, my last couple of things that I've got here, which I haven't asked you yet. One of them, well, they're both pretty personal and stuff, but in here, and so just interested to hear your thoughts. The first one here, probably the lesser of the 2 personal ones, which I want to ask you, is what challenges, if any, for you, Phil, did you struggle with or come across or find when you transitioned out of the Special Air Service Regiment? Maybe you didn't, but maybe you did. And if you did, how did you overcome those? Like what like just to try to paint a picture or give some context, the connections with I call them my brothers, from the unit, was a real massive big gap left here for me, and here as well. And so that was one that I'll touch on. But this question's for you. What challenges, if any, did you struggle with during your transition out of the unit, and how have you overcome those? And if you didn't have any, then that's cool as well. I'd be interested to know why.
No, I think
Why you
yeah,
didn't.
yeah. Here's the why first. I didn't
Yeah.
do probably in touch with what about that I served with.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's tight with people. I think, and I'm just making this up, but it's the best, most plausible thing I can think of, because I had such a transient youth. You know, report just
Yeah. Okay.
move over there, and you
Yeah.
stop one life and start another. I'd been doing that
Mm.
as a teenager, or for most of my my young life, and so
Yeah.
me to just park that part and start it, you know,
Gotcha.
and here we go
Mm.
again. So for me personally, I feel
Interesting.
like I've got lives, you know,
Mm.
and
Sounds
they're
like it.
segmented. They are.
Yeah.
There's very little overlap between them.
Yeah.
I think that's
Wow.
that bit didn't impact me, but one of the
Cool.
things that and I still struggle today with this is when you when you've operated at when
Mm.
you fine tune your own drills and integrity to a certain level, it's disappointing, and I find myself by other people's failure to do the same thing, but they haven't had the same.
Mm.
And so, one of the things
Mm.
my mum told me that I'm listening to this guidance as I say it because I need. But she said, you know, people can only disappoint you as much as you. What is that? That's
Mm.
rubbish. But she's right because we set
Yeah.
expectations. You know, I set the expectations that I put on some. If they fall short of that, they fell short of a standard that I set the wrong standard. You know, I need to go back and recalibrate so they're a bit more real. Here's a classic example that illustrates that. We were working in Mali to we rolled into. I pulled together a team of really good. Had some problems in some other areas, and so we handpicked to go out into the one where we actually integrated. We looked like-minded, smarter than the average bear with a slightly larger pair of kahunas, ugly real fast. And so these guys had to be pretty good. But I handpicked these guys. We'd briefed them. We'd rehearsed it. You know, just walk through drills so people could visualize what was expected.
Yeah.
And I figured their preparation, like my torch. I've got a spare battery in my pocket. I've got a water right to the top and isn't going to make
Yeah.
any noise. You know, my pocket. There's nothing in my pockets that's going to make any noise. So
Yeah.
it's a shame that they would be operating at the same level. We had
Mm.
one of the best guys we ever were there, Tommy Johnson, ex-RSK Army, absolute legend of. He's really someone worth following up. You know, have a look at this
Oh.
guy.
Yeah.
Scottish, terrible at speaking French. Sounds like a parrot when you try and teach him Australian things, but fantastic guy. His background, and particularly at that level, first thing he did was he got right up here. All right, now jump up and down. What's that making noise? Shake it. Why is your water bottle making noise? Get over there and fill it like an RSM should. I looked at that and I thought, geez, well done, Tommy. We could have gone tits up out there. You know,
Yeah.
things could have gone wrong because I just assumed all the boys were
Yep.
prepared to the same level that I had. Because I thought,
Yeah.
I'm not working with the rank and file here. This is the tier 1 group. They weren't tier
Yep.
1. They were tier
Mm.
1.5, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Tommy knew it. So he just came. He just knew straight away. Okay, I know what's needed here. We're going to do a DP1 check before the boys
Oh,
do
yeah.
that. And so just learning little lessons and little reminders like that all the way through. I do set high standards. I'm constantly frustrated by the old, people don't know what they don't know.
Yep.
What's it called? Dunning-Kruger effect. I think they know about, but if you only have done security in Australia, overseas, and looked at what life can be like if it's not as comfortable and well, as there isn't such good law enforcement, shape pretty quickly. So the bulk of the time I've spent operating, I find myself as trying to educate the bot, walk them through, establish with them that, look, I am using ISO 31000 and handbook as an established methodology, an objective assessment. Here's, these are the mitigations. This is the residual risk. Well, I don't agree with that. You go, okay, fine. Which part don't you agree with that? Let's go back and have a look at what are their capabilities, what's their how we rank those, and you tell me which one of these is wrong. And so we've had to pull together rock solid risk assessment. Can't be second guessed or watered down. Area where I've struggled a lot. Bundle security in with health, safety, and environmental goals.
Yeah.
Right? It's not, mate, because environmental is underpinned by the assumption of compliance. No one wants to get sick, no one wants to make a mess. And when you explain, hey, mate, let's change it, everyone, you help stop me from and runs with it. Security risk management's underpinned by the thinking adversary actively trying to defeat. And some people say, oh, a deliberate environmental thing. Well, okay, that's called sabotage. Security incident.
It falls under the security,
and it falls straight back under our risk assessment process. Capability, intent, and opportunity to determine not just, well, no, I've never heard of that happening. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Any money doing it, So, and for those reasons, you run security in Australia, and I'm out there marketing, explaining the unconverted, preaching to the unconverted. Ideas and concepts.
It's a challenge,
they have budget for, and they're just not going to happen. So you're thinking of workarounds, opposed to working in developing countries where now I give us a forward, and taking notes as opposed to yawning and checking their watch.
Checking their watch.
You look, you feel safe. Of course, it's going to happen. If you've never, and then you're going to have an opinion of what it is about, and you're not going to listen to your HMEs.
That's right.
Probably the biggest piece I've struck. That's why I keep getting drawn back to those jobs where every now and then we bite off too much on this one. Keeping you with a good plan. You think, oh boy, this one might come unstuck real fast.
Man, and so how's that? Those challenges, those struggles, because I've loved listening to those, and I love the advice that you shared that your mum gave. People can only disappoint you as much as you let them. Man, I love that. I just wrote that down. Great advice. What's been the shift in you to try to help you overcome that? Has it been largely, do you put that down to, okay, benefit of the doubt, or maybe it's they haven't had the same level of training as me, or how have you navigated your way through that?
For a lot of things, I just have to stop. I have to stop, step back, and take when you get tough
like that
through something, you start to make assumptions. I have to physically stop myself, step back. What would Pete Toundro do in this situation?
And then, Pete Toundro,
and then how does this look through their eyes? What are they looking for? Does this guard really want to be here, taking on these? Just looking for some overtime. Would he be better suited? doing a second shift over at the Gold Room, or we're going to bring them in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome, man. Oh, great insights. I love that. I've scribbled down a couple of pages worth of notes here, just listening to you on this so far. And I've got probably one more question that I want to ask you about. And feel free if it's okay, and if you want to speak about it. But I noticed that you mentioned a couple of marriages and stuff there, and so relationships in terms of that. Obviously, one you alluded to was whilst you were still in the unit in the Australian Regiment, and for us, what we've noticed, we've had the privilege of interviewing Harry Moffat's wife. She's the second spouse that's come on, which is great. She was awesome, actually. She was amazing to go on there, but it's been great to get the spouse's perspective. And I was just wondering from your side, if you were comfortable enough in sharing, what advice or guidance would you give? And are you able to put it down to, was it due to your time serving in such a high risk, fast paced environment that added stress to the relationship of the marriage? And or what advice would you give to people going into those sorts of units, or into even to the types of environments that you work in now? Because it is fast paced, it is quite stressful, and you've got a lot of moving parts happening in there, which can preoccupy people like you and I. Our minds in a lot of different ways can become very focused on things, and that can cause, I guess, disconnection in other areas. And I know for me, with my wife and I being on the brink of separation and stuff, at least a couple of times in our marriage together. I'm glad that we haven't, but I know that there's still this sort of stuff that's present there for people that are operating in these units. And I guess with your advice, your experience, what sort of things have you either maybe learnt in self-reflection, because that's always a good tool as well to be able to pass on to the next generation, to be able to learn from that. And it's obvious that you're somebody that likes to share their experiences to try to help the next lot of people coming through. Is there anything that you would share or speak about in relation to the relationships that you've had? Or
Yes. So I think the first, and I throw this around like it's a joke, but it's that time spent in rehearsals is seldom wasted. I've been described as a previously enjoyed companion. Most of his bad habits knocked out. That relationship was hasty. She was pregnant. In retrospect, probably wasn't the right thing. It didn't survive 7 years, but put a couple of pretty awesome little kids into the and inherited 3 others. So long term, what happened with that point? So we started out on the same page. It's very, but then something clicked in my mind. I'm going to join the regiment. I quit smoking. I stopped. I started training, and I started studying. I went up and did my private pilot license. Flight physics, aerodynamics, and all that. Went away to advance my, and so I just went on this burner of because the regiment was my focus, and this was the pathway to get there. Started smoking. We just started to drift apart.
Wow.
Continued to drift and drift and drift until it got to the point where we said, look, you know what, it's enough. And so we quit. So that one was okay. We're still good friends today.
Awesome. I was going to ask these.
There was some time. I was a bit of a prick and disrespect, and all sorts of things. But I think we're in a good place today, so that's good.
Yeah, that is good.
Marriage number 2 was quite different. It was someone I felt chased it to the end of the world. We got together, but the expectations were all wrong.
Right.
Her life, and I wanted high risk appetite. She had. This was from just being a bit too hasty, maybe too quick on the rebound. I don't know. That's an injustice, something like that on its own. But we'll also good result. 2 beautiful kids brought in. So never gets it. When marriage number 2 went belly up, because when your first one goes to pieces, that's bitch. Second one goes belly up. That's a bit more confronting. What do they both have in common? Maybe I am a freak. You know, at that point there was probably time for me to internally reflect and accept accountability. And for the first time in my life, I started to project outwards and try and look back in. What do I look from? What do I side?
From that side.
I always see, we've all got blind spots. I know how I feel.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
How do other people perceive me? Am I too hard? Do I swear too much? You know. What are their impressions of me? And not change myself to make them like me or anything. I just want to have want to feel more grounded and have a better understanding impact of my words. Because for me, what might be perfectly could leave someone else in complete turmoil. You know, 2 marriages ago, I learned that logic never. And I've actually as well. We've had some. There've been shutdowns. There've been shot, burnt, riots, and angry people threatening us. We go back out there, and we've given them all the logical explanations for why. It's a logical explanation that doesn't satisfy cry for help. You know, so we've looked at it, gone back and reassessed. This is an emotional objection that they have. Something that addresses that. You know, it's probably to the COVID messaging you're getting from the government at the moment. You know,
true. Yeah,
you just keep throwing logic at what is essentially
an emotional
objections. Yeah, they're not getting addressed.
Yeah,
I started to that stuff. Then it's up in the air and said, right, that's it. I've got never getting married. Never say never, mate.
Yeah.
Friends set me up with someone. We had dinner together. And I looked at her and thought, oh, yeah, she's nice. And 12 months later, they tried again and bang. We're in the right place. And we've been together ever since. 10 days after that meeting, I moved in with her.
Wow.
18 months after that, we got married. And I think made this relationship work differently to the others, where I'm not as much of a, I'm still a bit of a prick, but I'm not as much. I'm internally reflective. We'll at opposite ends of the house, but now instead of sulking for days, I'll calm down and go, yeah, look, no, you're right. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, you prick. There's no way I can do that for. A lot from her for where Kitty used to work in the apparel industry about and how you can catch more flies with honey. You don't have to go to get a result. You know, there are some softer approaches that might. And I keep because I am a hard charger. Devices I've got to calibrate myself and come back easier the second time around. Key thing is that I was working FIFO with me. You know, I was in and out, away and gone and back and gone and back. That's always been part of our picture. It's not a change.
Yep.
Adapt to.
Adjust to.
Yeah. And she's never tried to change me or whatever. It's just if that's what you want to do, go for it. But understand it's your decision and I respect it. Okay. You know.
There's the honey.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's gone a long way. We actually operate with me together, and then having the contract I've just signed is for a 6 and
Yep.
So I actually like being away for 6 weeks to just go off around the world and then come home tired and tell her all my stories, fix up things around the house. Okay, get out, leave, go back to my routine.
Yeah, yeah.
Scott comes into the lounge room, changes the channel, and leaves again.
Yeah. And leave it running. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm off.
But as long as I don't change the channel, bit journal reflection.
Love that.
And just learning. I've learned how to do it with other communities and show them respect.
Yep.
I want to catch up to learn to apply that to my own family. And catch up because it's but you can get another job, mate.
Yeah.
So where's your priorities?
True. Man, beautiful stuff, Phil. I really, really enjoyed those, and thank you for being so raw and open and honest about those. Very personal and private situations for you, but I know that they're going to be helpful because we've had people already talk about how helpful it's been to hear about. It's not just all flashbangs and things, smoke here and all this sort of stuff and all the exciting stuff happening, but you're dealing with people. I love how you spoke about these logical responses to an emotional objection, and we're human beings at the end of the day. Yeah, you've lived, like you said, 5 lives, probably more than 5 separate lives, and they're all segmented. But man, the lessons contained with yeah, I reckon. And the lessons, I just think the lessons contained within what you've been sharing, the relationships and the friendships that you've been able to build, the mindset. And yeah, some people might say, oh, well, that's because he was so transient when he was young. And that's what has made it easier. Like, that is really interesting for me because I know that there may be some other people as well. And I'm sure there are other people that have been able to segment that part of their life, that have gone, okay, I'm out of the unit now. So this is what I'm doing now. And that's great to hear. The reason that I feel it's important to get, or that Brian and I, co-founder, felt that it's important to get people like you and all these different experiences is because everybody's different and it's going to resonate with people, so that I don't want people thinking, oh, I'm weird because I haven't struggled with transition. Like, no, hats off to you, man. That's awesome that you've been able to do that. And these may be some of the reasons why, or actually, yeah, you had a transient upbringing for a large part of the younger portion of your life, and it's helped as you reflect. It's potentially helped in terms of what you've been able to do. The again, the variety in work, the cleaning business, the OAM stuff, into the mining, into the security, man, all of this sort of thing, all of this sort of stuff is just fantastic. Sorry, go. Were you going to say something?
We didn't even touch on maritime. But
yeah, that's right. Yeah. Actually, no, we've got. Well, we can't. We'll do another podcast anyway. But if you're okay, I'd love. That's right. Yeah, maritime, because there was a whole bunch of, I think your comments in there was a whole bunch of maritime stuff that happened.
Stacks of stuff.
Yeah.
So
go talk about it.
Really cool guy.
This will be a short snippet, part 1, and then we'll come back and do it again.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Stamper Allman, Drum Cusack. Basically,
Drum Cusack.
They are to the UK and SBS based what OAM is to, and the
okay. Yep.
Boys focus primarily being SBS and but based in here.
Yep.
Go figure, not Paul.
Yeah, right.
They had a whole lot of really good gigs, and there was a company, Drum Cusack Asia, just moved to Singapore, and they contacted me and said, "Look, can you do it for a super yacht?" No. Can you, mate? We need someone to do this. No. And then finally, he was like, "Mate, I really need somebody. This is how much." Yep.
Yeah.
For me to go on a super yacht, is the boss on board? No, it's just the transit. Oh, even better, I don't even need to behave myself or anything like that. So, on board this fantastic yacht, took those, the LRAD,
Far out.
sonic weapon, 154 decibel beam with a 7 million candle power. spotlight on it.
Bloody hell.
Did the transit, got the yacht up there, got off, beautiful people got on, and away they went. So came back, and Jeremy was in the office, and it turns out I directly, I never worked with the SBS guys before, but we had friends, and so we were. So tell me, he's got his whole head shed there. He says, "What do you think of our little company? Jeremy, do you want a popular response that'll make you feel good?" And he went, "Oh, sounds like you got something to say." I said, "Yeah, mate."
Right.
And so I just rolled them through a whole series of things that I thought they were doing wrong.
Yep.
And he gobsmacked. He's like, "No one's ever told me this stuff before." There's little things like the of your business. Like if you're working in Asia, there's a bad number. That's the unlucky number, you know. 1 in front of the 4, it's like certain something bad is going to happen. Is the lucky number. So if you Singapore, there's no 13th floor, there's no 14th floor, you know. 12A, 12B, 15, you know, because you're not going to get any tenants on that floor. Your business address is number 4. What do you think? That's you're not getting the stuff down and send it to me. So I wrote him 5 pages, flicked it through.
Wow.
There was an awkward silence for about a month, and then he rang me back and said, "Do you want a job?" As an ops manager for Drum Cusack Asia. I said, "Yeah, absolutely." First thing, we moved offices. And then we ramped up. They were already underway, a whole lot of development I managed to plug in and run with and enhance. And we did some real clever stuff. We got hold of information for all the shipping that came the Straits, where they were going next, and we identified potentially high-risk transits. Then we made we can put a bunch of tough guys on board to protect your vessel, train your crew, and provide you the materials, or you know, and various. We gave them like 5 different tier response. You can get the big all the way down through to the first one. Where you need to be. It actually turned out we made more money selling razor wire. We were buying this as from China, and you're buying by.
It was going.
We were getting it, and we ran basic training packages for them. Kuwaiti oil tankers, also here, 300,000 gross tons, 9-meter freeboard, 19 knots. They wanted to stop going down around the Cape through the Suez, which meant Gulf of Aden, but they weren't sure they could do that, so ended up on board her, and that was a tough one too. Came in handy. The ship security plan they would not disclose. I couldn't pick it up and couldn't write a high-risk transit procedure that dovetailed with them. I wrote a generic procedure, and then I sat down with the ship's and we played 20 questions. What about this? No. What about this? No. Okay. And we had to do it all that way, you know. But we came up with some like their engine room was indefensible. You could not stop people. They had 23 access points, you know, on that ship.
Oh, far out.
And
wow.
The exits, you can't lock them off.
Yeah.
You can't even put an addition on them. It's a massive safety risk. Out of your engine room. Well, simple. Ship's horn. 60 decibels in a confined space. But we're going to encourage them to get the hell out if they ever get in. Cameras and then a procedure with short, 1 second, 2 seconds on to. This is getting longer and it's going to hurt more. Next time you scramble on your hands and knees through your own feces that you got in there on. You know? Check that box.
Wow.
We looked at old hoses over the side and the razor wire.
Yep.
We came up with some to pack that, hold it for bunkering, and using steel wire ropes in between. And we just the process where everyone else was twitching the stuff on, taking 4 hours. We could flat pack one whole side of the ship. That's with a crew of 5 blokes. Just through clever design. The hoses over the side. It's not going to stop somebody, but if she's making 19 knots away into an 11 knot, the coxswain coming alongside's got 30 knots of spray in their face. So a bit of a deterrent. You can't maneuver 300. You put in a change, and then you wait 5 minutes. How slowly comes across, for the next 15 minutes. It's unreal. So there's no zigzag. And what are we going to do to stop them come alongside? And what we came up with, fantastic. So two problems to solve each other. So you go straight to the top of the green, and you probably give her a nudge into yellow if you get in. Engineers don't like that. The engines start, and they start to have problems. What we worked out, and it didn't take a lot of work to replumb this, but pushing the fire water through the heat exchanger, more cooling on the engine, and we got 72 degrees at the nozzle. I've got scalding water coming over the side. Tested some hoses to destruction, and we found, okay, I can run that hot, and then I got to go flick it back to cold for a minute, and we can alternate sides of the ship, whatever it took.
Okay.
So that was really good. We learned a lot doing that, and those and a million little tricks for how to secure. And all of that stuff came from being that guy with the painter pole, water, and the cable ladder in the Caribbean, just trying to hook it up. Coming along, doing ship alongside. Having done that stuff, I know what this is like from the other side, so let's mess it up. So they were good. And then gift of the gab, I picked up a lot of super yacht trends and things like that. The beautiful people doing awesome. Some of them I would have actually paid money to go on. Just awesome trips, but gave me a hard time and laughed at me because Drum Cusack got off for the UK branch.
Right. Okay.
It was losing money, and I turned it to profit. So he didn't get his tax credits. Right, you got to get this level here before we losing money. Okay. So I wasn't expecting that to happen. So you're doing too much of a good job. But a great bunch, absolutely awesome, and a lot of fun. And the good thing, it's just all innovation. You'd be looking at something and you go, that's just work. Let's chuck a ship's horn in a confined space. What could go wrong?
Did you how did the testing? Who were the guinea pigs to test that on?
We got one volunteer, one of the Filipino crew. He stuck those squishies in his ears. He put the earmuffs on, then he stuff around and around his head. I briefed. We're going to crack this door in there. The horn's going to come on for once. We talked, all the way up through. I said, if it gets painful, so stop. Just hold your hands in the air, and we'll stop immediately. Okay, you ready? Ready. So he stepped in. We're all wearing over ears. He stepped into the confined space. The amazing noise just came ripping out of that hole, and we're standing outside, and I can feel it going through my body to the point where I'll hands up, feeling dizzy. I've looked up at him. His hand is fallen down and wet himself. We've got on the radio, stop. Like, pulled him out. Got tuned up by a doctor because afterwards, it didn't matter what you stuck in his ears, the hearing damage was coming through the bones in his head. You know, there was
Oh my goodness.
always energy in there. He said if it was any longer, that guy could have had permanent hearing damage.
Hearing, yeah.
That one looks.
Yeah.
Thanks, demo. Next.
Thanks, demo. Yeah. Did he get a bonus or anything?
I don't know. No,
Wow.
they were pretty harsh
Yeah.
on their crews, those guys.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. But great tool, great use of the resources that you had, and an excellent deterrent by the sounds of things. I was just imagining, and you just painted a perfect picture of what I imagined it probably would have been like, especially if you're feeling that vibration and your body's shaking from outside that
Yeah,
space. I could only feel for the poor fella, the
yeah,
demo that was in there. Man, that's so, yeah, like so much more. I can tell that there's so much more, and that's fine with us if that's okay with you, because we'd love to get you back on again. I just want to, Phil, I just want to take this opportunity to acknowledge you, brother, and thank you not only for your willingness to come on, but for your time, for the way in which you've shared your knowledge and experiences so openly and willingly with myself, and that in turn is going to transfer to our audience that we're lucky enough to have that take the time. Appreciate a lot of the messages, not even hidden, but the messages that are contained within them in terms of that self-reflection piece. I really love that. I love the comments from your mum. People can only disappoint you as much as you let them. These things about having that courage and that ability to be able to look back and reflect on and progress from where you were before, in terms of whether that was not being able to communicate before and staying in silence and then coming back, in terms of the relationships and being able to do that. Your transition journey and all the vast experiences that you have, the way that you go about communicating, I can see why the relationships must build. And I don't know if it's always the case, but I could sit here and continue listening to you. You've had me leaning in pretty much since we started and had you speaking, and it's been great to hear you speak, brother. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the sense of humor that you have as well. It takes me back to times in the unit with people with very similar senses of humor, and just makes me laugh, makes me happy. And
yeah.
so really pleased to hear and see you doing well. What is it, my last question, what is it that you are doing right now? Like, what's your role, or what business are you doing? What's your current job and role?
I've just transitioned from a mobile job to
Yep.
doing the same job with them, side the wire, with the landowner company. So I'll
Wow.
with a Papua New Guinean landowner company, uh,
Yep.
community affairs and security manager for
Man.
a project in a particularly challenging part of the world. Real
Yeah.
characters up there, some unique challenges. I got some time on the
Yeah.
and so yeah, I've made up. I love getting it. You can see what they need. I can hear what you want, and then just trying to manage a balance between what reasonably expect and how can we share that wide instead of just giving it to a handful of people. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yep.
which yeah, I quite like go hard, work hard, come home,
Yeah.
time off, and then I can pursue my other
Beautiful.
passions. Yeah,
Awesome. Awesome, man. So good to hear, and thanks for sharing that as well, brother. We wish you, so on behalf of Brian and I, wish you and your family a safe and prosperous new year as well. We look forward to connecting with you again going forward, because there's certainly a lot more to tell. There's been a lot more than 5 lives lived in here in the story that I can tell and hear from so far, brother. So really appreciate you, man, and hope you and your family have a fantastic new year. Stay safe, and we'll connect again soon. So as always, we sign off on these podcasts of Who Dares Wins.
thanks, Joe. Appreciate it, bro.